Folks, excited about today's show with none other. You've seen her before. She's a superstar in my book. She's a Jesus girl. She's a health guru, fitness guru. I mean, author, speaker, you name it. None other than Shemane Nugent. How you doing, Shemane?
I'm so good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Brant. I really appreciate it. I appreciate being here in this time and in this place because, Esther 4:14 says, perhaps we were born for such a time as this.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to have you in my life and to be able to spread this message.
Well, we're all grateful for you, Shemane. A lot of people watch you on Facebook, your Facebook Lives. So many people have gone to your website, ShemaneNugent.rocks. What a cool website name. And of course, all the things, folks, that's probably one of the best hubs they can go to, Shemane, to see your books. You got a new book coming out we're going to talk about, but also with your new show. Tell us about your new show.
I'm so excited to have a new show on Real America's Voice. It's called Faith and Freedom. And I've interviewed everybody from Kirk Cameron to Kash Patel. I have an opportunity to interview people about politics and current events, but also it's a Sunday morning show. It airs Sunday morning at 10 a.m. And I love talking about faith. And I love talking to people who want to talk about faith, which unfortunately, sadly, there are a lot of Christian conservatives like me that are suppressed and shadow banned. And I'm banned on Twitter. Permanently banned on Twitter. I'm surprised, Brant, that you're talking to me right now because I must be such a bad guy that I'm banned on Twitter.
Such a rebel. Well, Shemane, I joke when I talk to groups, sometimes I'll say, hey, hello, fellow outlaws.
Yeah.
Because if you love America, you love God, you love our military, you love our law enforcement, you love our veterans, you love our Constitution, you love your gender, you're an outlaw to the left, but you're not to God. And Shemane, this isn't the first time in our history that those who are clinging to a moral code are labeled outlaws by a very loud minority that wants people to think that there's more of them than there are of us. But there's more of us than there are of them. And you were bold enough, Shemane. I mean, sister, you're no stranger to television, even back with MTV Cribs. And even before that, all the things you've done and accomplished. And of course, your new book, Killer House. You're also a producer, a documentary maker. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You could have used your platform to just benefit yourself monetarily, but what did you do? You used your voice to speak up for what's right. And, I don't know that a lot of people who have had your opportunities would choose that road. They would probably choose the safe route, thinking that their silence will save them. Well, folks, your silence hasn't done you any good, has it? It's to people like Shemane that speak the truth and that put it out there. And you know what? We have a new question right now. We're actually doing some fresh things here as we're producing this TV show. The some of you are seeing over the air on cable networks, on Roku, on multiple platforms, as well as Facebook. But this is pretty fresh because the day of this taping, it's come out about the transgender leftists. It's always a leftist that's doing these mass shootings, but they want to come after the conservatives. But I don't know if you want to touch this or not, but Jeremy Sutton, incredible man in West Texas, asked, do you have anything to say about the Nashville shooting?
First of all, whose heart does not go out to the families of the fallen? And those children, I have seen, as many people have probably seen, body cam footage from the police who went in. And it's terrifying to me to just watch. I can't imagine the children in that building and how they're going to be saddled with this forever. The traumatic stress that's going to continue to plague them. We've got to keep praying for them that they overcome this and their families overcome this as well. It's such a shame that this had to happen. And, I could get into a lot of it, but I think, we have to remember, as Ephesians 6:10-18 talks about, we do not battle against flesh and blood. We battle against the rulers and principalities and evil forces of darkness that are really in charge of this planet. And it's not each other. You know, the social media, it has great opportunities like this, but it also has the opportunity to manipulate and to divide us. And ultimately, I think that's what they're trying to do. You said it so eloquently that there's a small minority that has a louder voice.
Right.
More and more, though, I just went to the Trump rally in Waco, Texas on Saturday and had the opportunity to see minimum. I have not heard an official count. I was there, minimum 30,000 people. I would say 50,000 people. I've been to a lot of rock and roll concerts, a lot. I've never seen anything like this. And here's what nobody is talking about, Brant. Did you hear about any violence there?
Of
With
course not.
30,000 people. And we just drove by today, dropping off my stepson at the airport. There's no trash. There's no
Nope.
damage.
Nope.
There's no building. I mean, so my point is, Brant, we have to take a deep breath, continue to get on our knees and pray that we can overcome this. We know in the end, God wins. And I think that's what we really need to be focused on, and not so much the division that the media
Right.
is trying to portray.
And they're doing that because they're well funded by the enemies of our country. You know, I do a show with Brigitte Gabrielle, who adores you, and I believe you two may do an interview soon, a news you can act on. But you know, you really can't trust what you hear in the media, unfortunately. Now, there's local affiliates and local networks that will venture out and dare to speak the truth. I know of a couple, but for the most part, there truly is a unified front among the left, who are well funded by the Soroses, who are well funded by the deep state, who want to silence you, who want you to believe that you are the minority. You know, you're not. They also want you to forget that you do have rights, and you still have a First Amendment right. You know, Twitter may have banned you, Shemane. You are a voice for America. You also are for everyday people who want to improve their lives. We live in interesting times. You know, some may say we live in a culture where powers that be want to poison your air, poison your food, you know, poison your water, sell you cancer treatments, and tax you when you die. And that's evil. But you've had a personal crusade, Shemane, with helping people detoxify their houses as well. A very pragmatic thing. It's good to have a clean spirit, but you also need to live longer, folks, to do good works, and to live out your faith. You know, transitioning from the censorship, we're always going to find Shemane, and I'll do everything that I can. And I know many of you out there as well. She has a voice. This is her time. There are no accidents. There are no chance meetings. There are no coincidences. This is your time, Shemane, and I'm excited about it. And I do believe in you, and I believe in your message too. When it comes to helping people literally clean their house, what would you tell people right now that may be suffering from a condition they're not aware of because of simple things they may have in their home?
Well, for those of you who don't know my story, my home that was once featured on MTV Cribs was contaminated with toxic mold between the walls. We never saw anything. We just kept getting sicker and sicker. And this was 20 years ago, Brant. I had to become my own investigative sleuth because no doctors, dozens and dozens of doctors couldn't help me, couldn't pinpoint the problem. So it took me a long time to heal. I was plagued with debilitating migraines, chronic fatigue, insomnia, and something called brain fog, and so many other things. But my goal, it's not like I was a little girl and I grew up thinking I want to be known as the mold lady. That wasn't what on the radar. But I think God puts us in positions, and if I'm here in this time, in this place for such a time as this, I want to be of service to God. Use me, and maybe this is how I can help people. But I get messages so often of people who are sick and don't know why, and think that maybe toxic mold might be the culprit. And for those of you who are watching and want to know more, I have a documentary. If you go to killerhouse.org, That's killerhouse.org. You can watch the documentary and find out more information. And if you go to my website, I'm going to announce this here for the first time ever, Brant.
All right.
Your audience, I've never said this before. My book, Killer House, will be out in 2 weeks. And for people who want to be notified, who want to get the notification as soon as it's available, you can sign up for my email list and just go to ShemaneNugent.rocks, ROCKS, and subscribe to the newsletter. I send a newsletter out every week, and you'll be the first to know exactly when, where, and how you can get my book, Killer House.
Oh, so I'm there right now. It's a great website. Of course, Shemane, you know what? I mean, you're fearless, brilliant, very well spoken. It doesn't hurt that you're gorgeous either. But killerhouse.org. I'm there right now. You can enter in your name and your email. Be the first to know. And of course, I'm also at ShemaneNugent.rocks.
Somebody asked me the other day, you know, and I know you've been so gracious in wanting to help me get the message out. And I really do appreciate that. But somebody said, you know, you're not really promoting your books, which I'm not. And I'm doing all these other things. I'm not promoting the things that I've already done or trying to get help to do these things like marketing, which I need to talk to you about. This person said to me, you could be really famous. And I went, hold up. There's a saying that women have. What's the look you're going for? That's not the look I'm going for. I don't want to be famous. Number one, I've seen firsthand what my husband goes through.
Right.
And he's sold 40 million albums, and he's toured the world, and he can go anywhere. You know, he doesn't have to worry about going grocery shopping or to Starbucks or whatever it is. He still does that. And people say hello to him and shake his hand. I'm not worried about that sort of thing. But it's not what I want to do. I want to help people. I don't care. It's just not even on my radar, really. I'd rather just highlight other people. Like, for example, I did last Monday, I did Facebook Live where we prayed. I don't know if it's okay if I talk about this.
Yeah.
But President Trump had mentioned that he was supposed to get arrested last Tuesday.
Right.
And he was supposed to get arrested. So a friend of mine has this company where he has tent stakes, and on the tent stakes are Bible verses.
All right.
And in the Bible, not only prayer is wonderful. You can never pray enough, but prayer plus action. If you want to talk about spiritual warfare and getting to the next level, prayer plus action.
Wow.
So what we did is a virtual staking of the courthouse where President Trump was supposed to be arrested. And we prayed over it, saying these Bible verses. And there were 4 of us there, and it's on my Facebook from last Monday. But here's the thing, Brant, he wasn't arrested on Tuesday.
Right.
I don't know. Was it because of these?
Hey.
And Steve called me. I mentioned on my Facebook Live, and I also interviewed him on my Faith and Freedom show last Sunday. You can check that out at realamericasvoice.com. Or it's also on Rumble.
I'm there right now. You can join and follow.
Yep. Yeah. But Steve texted me on Sunday afternoon, and he said, I thought that there was something wrong with my website because I kept getting dings on my cell phone when I was in church. I'm in church and it's dinging at 10 a.m. on Sunday.
You're
ding,
right.
Ding, ding, ding. He sold $10,000 of these stakes in his books.
Wow.
And he said, I owe you one, sister. And I'm like, you don't owe me anything. Why? You don't owe me anything. Like, I think we should help each other. I want to help you. I want to help Brigitte in whatever way I can. Opening up my audience. I just shared this Facebook post on my Facebook page so people can come in and ask questions. But we've got to get back to not the division, not the separation, but seeing how we are God's children, and we don't always agree on everything, but our goal, our message should be sharing the gospel and spreading the good word about Jesus Christ.
It should be. And we also should collectively as believers, there's a saying, find out what God is doing and get behind it. And you're doing things. Do you have a Cash App, Shemane?
No.
Okay. Shemane, sister, let's get you a Cash App.
Okay.
Because I'm compelled live on this stream as well as during this taping that I want to contribute some finances to you because I believe in what you're doing. Michelangelo, depends on who you talk to. He was set up to do the Sistine Chapel. I don't know if you know the story or not. Raphael was jealous of Michelangelo, and the Pope originally approached, the story goes, Raphael. He said, no, you need the premier artist of the age, because he was a little miffed at Michelangelo getting all these props as an artist. He knew an inside secret that Michelangelo considered himself a sculptor, not a painter. So he was actually humiliated to be asked to do that. And Raphael knew that. So it was a setup. But what started out as a setup turned out to be one of the greatest masterpieces we've ever seen in the history of our nation. You know what? Day in and day out, the people that you deal with seem normal to you. And when you're doing your show, you labor at telling the truth and being at places and making a stance, even taking a risk as well. Putting a fearless stance out there for faith and freedom for our country, for our God. But sister, after 7 years of being on his back on scaffolding, the Pope fell to his knees and saw a masterpiece. What you're doing with your Faith and Freedom show, and with your books and your documentaries and just being who you are, it's a masterpiece, and it's worth supporting. And so no matter how laborious it may seem, or I wanted you to hear a voice from the call in, because, and folks, hopefully you'll see more of these with some call-ins too. You need to know that people really are watching. They really are being seen. So many times in broadcasting, we don't hear from people until we're off the air. Hey, where'd you go? Hey, I didn't know you were there. Well, and that's a classic issue. You don't hardly hear from people until you're no longer on the air. I want you to hear from people now. And that's why I'm looking. If I need to buy 10 books, then I'll buy 10. But I just feel compelled, and I can feel compelled to everyone to go to ShemaneNugent.rocks right now and buy something. And
how about sign up? How about sign up for the email list?
That
would be good.
Too. Do that too. And your friend Brant privately without Shemane hearing, send some love her way, folks, with some finances, because this is a person that could cash in so easily and chooses not to. And all that to say is, Shemane, I mean, you're a blessing, and you're an inspiration to so many people. And you have a lot of things to say. You're not limited to just one message. I mean, you could speak on keeping your faith in this world that unfortunately, when you're in the entertainment circles, wants you to be silent about your faith. You could speak to women and men of all ages about their health. You could speak to people anywhere in the world about protecting their very lives by detoxifying and demolding their homes. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the commonality is the person. Shemane Nugent isn't someone who just does good things. She's a good person. And if you find a good person in this life, folks, that will tell you the truth, that doesn't care about being famous, those are the people who deserve the platforms. And so,
very kind, friend.
It's true. And I selfishly have always believed this. When I first got to meet you with the CBS segment, Let's Talk, during COVID, I kept smiling so big, and you thought I was laughing. You didn't know my background. You didn't know that I was smiling out of delight that someone like you is so sold out to Jesus and to loving our country, and so excited. I was so delighted, because I don't see that among most celebrities. that I've got to interview. And so I was delighted then, and I'm delighted now. I just can't recommend more. Those who are watching on Primetime Christian Broadcasting, get behind Shemane Nugent, ShemaneNugent.rocks. Go to killerhouse.org. Sign up for that email list as well. Those who are watching on CBS, do the same. Do the same. Those who are watching on cable, you're seeing some must carry programming right now, maybe DirecTV and maybe others. Do the same. Go to ShemaneNugent.rocks. Go to killerhouse.org. I'm excited. I mean, gosh, what have you not done? And what's next? Movies? Maybe.
Actually, yeah. My son Rocco and I are working on producing some films, and we've got some other projects going on. A fairly big project here in Waco, Texas. That Waco, Texas has become an interesting place, but we've got Baylor University, and we've also got Magnolia, and of course the Trump rally was just here recently. So more and more people, somebody said there's 30,000 unique visitors each month coming here. And my son's an entrepreneur. And so we've got some things cooking here. The quality of life here, like when COVID hit, we never had to leave, Brant, because as you know, I'm a bow hunter. We live off the land. You know, when we travel, of course, we have to go to restaurants and things, but for the most part, like we don't buy meat from the store. And I am also growing a vegetable garden. I'm not awesome at it, but I'm learning. And I think it's really important because one of the things that is plaguing, that really is a pandemic for the United States, is that people are unhealthy, and more than 50% of us are overweight. Now, I will say that since the pandemic, I don't know if there's a statistic, but I did gain a few extra pounds, and I understand the struggles that people have losing weight. When I was in high school, 25 pounds heavier than I am now. And in college, when I should have been in my prime, I was a little pudgy. So,
well, I say wow because you're in better shape now than you were in high school. How many people can say that?
Well, I am grateful that I love to work out. And I love, as you know, I teach Zumba fitness classes. I've been teaching group exercise classes since 1980. And I feel blessed that I love to do that. The other thing is I actually have scoliosis, a slight twisting of my spine, not so much the S curve. If I don't exercise to some extent, I'm not so hardcore. I don't do CrossFit and run marathons and things like that. I really don't see myself as that intense. But if I don't go for a walk or stretch or do something every day, I can't move my back. So it's also, another opportunity for us to go, look, Brant, you're, 55 years of age. You
54, yeah.
54. We want to live have extraordinary quality of life. My dad's going to be 85 and he still plays tennis. Every week. 2 hours of tennis. I want to be doing that. I want to be doing things. So we've got to take care of the bodies that we have. Our bodies are our temples. And I know it's difficult, man. I just had half of a cookie that was staring at me, calling my name. So I have the same struggles as everybody else does.
You're doing better than I would, Shemane. I would have had the whole pan. So.
Well, you don't know how big the cookie was, Brant.
Well,
it was pretty big.
Wow. There's another question during this live stream if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Shemane, I love the interaction when people can voice their appreciation to you, ask you questions, or even type their questions in, even when we're taping this television show. But Angela Holland says, we're stronger together, mind, body, and soul healing. And she wants to know how to connect as well. Did you find assistance for the mold issues with the naturopathic, or did God guide and just show you the path to healing? That was her question.
That's an interesting and very good question. In my book that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, I actually go through, it's part memoir, and I did it for a reason. I don't love reading textbooks. Maybe some people are different. I want to read a story. And so I wrote the book in a way that it's a story building up to how I met Ted, what happened after we met, and some of the challenges that we have, because I believe that the emotional difficulties that I had, and we've talked about this before, Brant, a lot of people have gone through this,
Right.
infidelity in marriage, that wreaks havoc on your body. It can destroy your immune
Right.
system.
Wow.
And that was right before we found out that our house was contaminated with toxic mold. So I uncover and unroll and unpeel the layers of the onion, talking about all those things. But
Wow.
here's the important part. Two things to address to that comment. I had a choice when I was healing. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, and I could either go to the Mayo Clinic or something like that and just get fed up with drugs and chemicals, or I could heal naturally. And that took a lot longer, but I found the Environmental Health Center in Dallas and Dr. William Ray from there that Suzanne Summers has interviewed as well. He saved my life. So I did a lot of naturopathic
Wow.
things like vitamin IV, infrared sauna, and some other things that I talk about in the book intensely. But here's what's different about my book from any other book that talks about mold. I talk, Brant, about spiritual warfare.
Wow.
Was this a way to get my attention and to draw closer to God? What brings us on our knees brings us closer to God, I truly believe. So I talk all about that in my book.
Wow. You got some preaching in you, sister. Thank you, Angela Holland, for your question. I tell you what, the Faith and Freedom every Sunday morning, 10 a.m.
Yep.
And of course, it's also, it's Eastern time, right?
Yep.
Okay. So it's 9 a.m. Central time. You can still watch Shemane and then, still go to your fellowship if that's what you do. You also go to Rumble, of course, Facebook, you do your lives all the time. Just very, very exciting. Real America's Voice is where this show is. But I anticipate Shemane being seen on multiple channels, multiple platforms, secular and Christian, because while there may be this undercurrent against our values with the mainstream media, there's still local networks that will fearlessly carry the message of inner healing, mind, body, heart, and soul that Shemane has.
Even though I'm banned on Twitter, they'll still carry my show.
Well, you know what? I need to call Elon. I said, Elon, hey, but before our next coffee, we gotta, I do find it hard to believe that the ban is still there, especially with Elon. He's banning these far leftists. He needs to make that right. Maybe folks, you can email Elon and say, hey, we want to hear Shemane Nugent. But all that to say is ShemaneNugent.rocks. Again, put in your email and contact at killerhouse.org. I love doing these Facebook Lives with you. And it'd be so cool to see people call in and interact with you in addition to airing of these great segments. So you have so much to say, and this is your time. Sister, I'm honored to know you, and I appreciate your time. Can't wait till next time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's going to happen. See you soon.